Have you ever like woken up and thought to yourself, hey, let's ruin something beautiful? I got triggered by the Disney Mulan remake adaptation, this abomination, whatever this is. It's not even the remake of my favorite Disney movie. No, that's going to Hercules. And if they do that, when they do that, I hope they don't fuck it up. Yeah, this is Disney we're talking about.
Lawrence, it can't be.
What's up with that face? It's not intimidating at all. Oh, time to invade China. The asking price for this movie is fucking atrocious. If you're lucky, some theaters have it, unlimited screening. Some don't. And if you can't watch it on the cinema, you have to watch it through Disney Plus, their streaming service. And that costs $6.99 a month. Mulan is not part of that subscription fee. Oh no, it's not. So what you do is you give Disney another $30 on top of your subscription to actually watch the service. But Weekend, you're from the Philippines. How could you watch this masterpiece of a movie? Glad you asked, guys. I got a sponsorship for this video. FU VPN, which is an excellent way to watch movies anywhere, anytime.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
What Disney does for this new adaptation was, aside from the 1998 animated movie, the team turned to the original text, The Ballad of Mulan, and its many variations, as well as modern film and TV adaptations that have been made in China.
This is a tale of one of the most famous heroes of all, Mulan.
When you read the Wikipedia summary of the ballad, it's kind of like an outline for the first movie. According to the legend, Mulan takes her aged father's place in the conscription for the army by disguising herself as a man. After prolonged and distinguished military service against nomadic hordes beyond the northern frontier, Mulan is honored by the emperor, but declines a position of high office. She retires to her hometown, where she is reunited with her family, and reveals her gender, much to the astonishment of her comrades. The movie itself admits that it is another spin on the tale. In the introduction,
there have been many tales of the great warrior Mulan, but ancestors, this one is mine.
Which is fine if it was interesting, and that's a big if. It's funny because when you read through the ballad, the English translation of the ballad, you could actually do a lot of stuff because there's a lot of things that are not said. Let me just read a few stanzas from the ballad. The sound of one sigh after another, as Mulan weaves at the doorway. No sound of the loom and shuttle, only that of the girl lamenting. Ask her of whom she thinks, ask her for whom she longs. There is no one I think of. There is no one I long for. Basically, the ballad is just there for story hooks, right? The ballad is just a framework. It is the setup for your story. What does Disney decide to do with it? From the intro alone, not 5 minutes into this movie, we already have problems.
Her chi, the boundless energy of life itself, speaking through her every motion. Could you tell her that only a son could wield chi?
Yes! What they did in this movie for chi is it's like the Force. It gives Mulan all her powers, which is not what chi is. Chi is just internal energy. Having high chi doesn't necessarily mean you could kick ass immediately with it. But what the movie does is Mulan just trains all on her own, and her dad just shows up in the frame. At best, you could say that the dad probably trained her, but for her to be that adept at such a young age, that's not just me talking.
Whereas the strongest stuff is almost uniformly all the stuff that's been added to either pump the film up into a punchier action fantasy flick or sharpen a more radical edge to the original's girl disguised as boy goes to war feminist bona fides, the solution to which turns out to be make it into a Star Wars movie. Whereas in the original, meaning the Disney original, Mulan was just sort of tomboyish and spunky and learned how to be good at fighting in the army. In this version, she's a natural-born warrior capable of harnessing and unleashing near superhuman levels of strength, agility, and martial arts skills even as a young child, thanks to hypersensitivity to the natural forces of chi.
Oh god, Movie Bob has a good observation. But what Bob refers to as a strength, I would say it's one of the weaknesses of the movie. Because they still have the second act where Mulan joins the army and trains with the army. This is weird because Mulan is overpowered to begin with. And this is just a writing tip in general. No one wants a motherfucking Mary Sue. Boo! Fuck off, cunt! No one wants you here, bitch! Bullying! This actually makes the second act kinda boring and makes Mulan actually fucking stupid. Because why doesn't she just use her power to begin with, right? She's there to replace her father to fight in a war. And all she can think of was hiding her chi? That's dumb.
You idiot.
Thanks for agreeing with me, movie.
You must hide your chi.
Seriously though, I know that the movie made it a point that her dad told her this.
Your chi is strong, Mulan. But chi is for warriors. Soon you'll be a young woman, and it is time for you to hide your gift away, to silence its voice.
But at this point, you joined specifically to save your dad by using your powers, right? I don't see the fucking point, really, of hiding it. Now, this is where the adaptation's decision to stick with the formula of the 1998 movie really hurts it. This is the point of the movie where Mulan is training, and 2020 Mulan doesn't need that shit. In fact, she flexes on her fellow trainee and almost kills him with her signature Mulan kick, and she gets cheered for it.
Who knew? What a killer!
And during the movie, apparently, she's not using the fullest extent of her power. How come this girl, who is, by all accounts, self-trained, not just kicking ass all on her own? She kind of forgot that she had a game-breaking power. This isn't even like a Captain Marvel excuse where she has amnesia. They were both overpowered, but Captain Marvel becomes even more overpowered when she remembers who she was. And Mulan doesn't have that fucking excuse. We have reached this point, guys, that Mulan is so bad, Captain Marvel looks better by comparison. Mulan was already fairly overpowered, but then there are really contrived ways to make her even more overpowered than she is already, which is an amazing statement, right? Oh, what's that, Mulan? You're having trouble with the climbing the mountain part of the training exercise? Don't worry, Donnie Yen is here to remind you that you have this thing called chi that you were doing in the beginning of the movie. Just do that again, without supervision at all. See? There you go! Oh gosh! It's the lady person of power fighting another lady person of power. What's that? You can't defeat me. It's because you're not being truthful to who you are as a lady person.
I'm Hua Jun, soldier in the Emperor's Imperial Army.
Then you will die, pretending to be something you're not.
Even though before this fight, you kicked ass fine. The witch said that
Your deceit weakens you. It poisons your chi.
it's like the movie made this shit up so that it could have a plot point that is not really fucking necessary to begin with.
And Hua Jun did die, for a lie can only live so long. But Mulan lived.
Oh, she can kick butt now, cause she's accepted she's a lady person. It's fine to be a lady person and kick butt while being a lady person. When will my reflection show who I am? It's so... The great thing about watching a protagonist grow throughout the movie is that it feels like we're on a journey with them. With Mulan, it doesn't feel like a journey, it feels like you're jogging in place. That's not to say you can't do a piece of media with an overpowered character in it, but you gotta do some stuff with it. The easiest fix if you want to make Mulan this overpowered Mary Sue is 1. Have the fights be an entertaining spectacle. Not a dreary, mind-boggling spectacle. Just a nice spectacle between two similarly overpowered people. What is annoying is that the movie has the perfect setup for this exact fight, but they don't do that. The first time they fight, this lady just kicks her ass, and they don't fight after that. They don't. They even talk and become friends at the end.
Take your place.
That scene is so bad when you think about it more. Actually, that's a good tagline for this movie. We got this witch with awesome powers, and she decides to block the arrow directed at Mulan with her body. You got a character that can literally turn into a swarm of birds and other kung fu magic that she could think of. I mean, look at all these scenes. And her best option at the time was just, I'm gonna block it with my little bird body. Also, while we're at it, why not just kill this guy? You'd think she'd hate the guy that admitted you're his slave. Shoot him with your witch powers. What was I talking about again? Oh yeah. 2. Have the lead up to fights be entertaining, dramatic, or engaging. So the climax of the God Stomp feels earned. There are lead ups to when Mulan fights, but I wouldn't call them engaging. I would call them why? Mulan's greatest power is not that she's overpowered, it's that she suffers no consequences from her actions. They make a big deal that she's not truthful about herself.
Dishonesty. Penalty. Expulsion. Disgrace. Disgrace for you. Disgrace for your family.
Dishonor on your cow!
And like all movies where the identity of the character is some sort of important plot point, her identity is revealed. And not only is she shamed, there's a kill on sight order on her. Eventually, Mulan finds out that Lawrence is alive thanks to her bestie and is now gunning for the Emperor. Mulan shows up to tell the army, and Donnie Yen rebuffs her.
Sergeant, hand me my sword.
As he fucking should. Everyone then goes into this I'm Spartacus ripoff while praising her at the same time.
I believe Hua Mulan.
I believe Hua Mulan.
I believe Hua Mulan.
I believe Hua Mulan. I believe Hua Mulan. I believe Hua Mulan.
And what's amazing is that Donnie Yen is cool with it. Not only is he cool with it,
You will lead us as we ride to the Imperial City.
what's happening here? Come on, bro. At least have some semblance of authority.
Clear her path! Don't leave her side. She must get through.
Man, Disney is so subtle about the empowerment message, as subtle as parrot wings at the back of your protagonist. Mulan being a Mary Sue just dilutes the message of the 1998 movie for me. Instead of this nice message where a woman can compete with men if she put effort and used her skill set wisely, it's not that anymore. Now, you gotta be a genetic freak if you want to surpass men. Weird editing choices abound in this movie. Editing, as I understand it, is combining several audiovisual elements into one coherent narrative, essay, what have you, and hopefully move it towards some form of art. Coherent is not a word I would use to describe Mulan 2020. You got English-speaking characters with Chinese audio in the background. Just be consistent. Have them all speak English or just have subs with Chinese audio. One guy posted this comment on Twitter. I didn't save it, but he saw this scene where the villain is moving a sword into his hand, and it sounds like this. Here is Mulan, majestically galloping into battle. Then, when you hear the gallop sounds, what you see is a bird. What is this cut? What personally made me realize that the editing in this movie is bad was I was getting footage for Mulan as a child, and this scene on the roof really confused me. There are so many cuts, unnecessary zoom-ins that don't make the scene very clear at all. So she enters the frame from a certain angle, right? But when she's landing, they change the frame to another angle, which just makes it confusing. If you just want to show her landing on the roof, just film it from the first angle. What's wrong with that? And then, while she's on this new angle, they zoom in the camera manually. But then on the next sequence, they just make a close-up hard cut, which defeats the purpose of zooming in manually with the camera. Do one or the other. And there's just this weird cut for me personally, where we see Mulan's face forward as she's chasing the chicken. I don't think it's necessary, and it just confuses the scene, because on the next cut, we go back to the previous shot of where she was running from. These shots just don't flow well together. There are more cuts in this scene than there are minutes in this whole sequence. Can you guess how many minutes there are? I'll give you a moment. Less than 1. It did not even make 1 minute of the whole movie's runtime. And the cuts are so annoying. I think it's a stylistic choice from the creator-director of this movie, because the weird cuts are consistently seen in this movie. And that stylistic choice extends to the fight scenes. I said this before in my Iron Fist Season 2 review. Not chilling it or anything. The cuts in these fight scenes should help the audience see the fight, right? Multiple cuts, weird choices of cuts, just confuse the audience rather than build clarity over the scenes. The way they edited those shots actually muddles the scene, when really this looks better in my opinion. You could see everything, you could see the movement of the actors. This part stood out to me because of the way it was shot. It was so counterintuitive and confusing. They wanted Mulan to deflect this spear, right? But the way they shot it, it's so zoomed in, you don't actually get to appreciate the movement of the spear towards Mulan. Also, why would you swing using a spear? You thrust that shit, right? It's only when I could slow it down while I was editing this shit when I realized that it's not really a spear, it's some sort of halberd, if you could see it right now. I think that's a hook, but because of the way they shot it, it looks like a spear just appeared in the frame. If you didn't see the end, you might even think it's just some sort of staff. I think the scene would be best served if you could see the spearman actually trying to jam it in Mulan. Then she deflects it. And when Mulan actually grabs the spear, I believe there is this unnecessary cut in where she actually manages to grab the spear, halberd, whatever. I don't think you need this particular cut, because when you watch the whole thing, that cut actually disrupts the flow. You could just take that out and the scene looks better. I think the highlight of all the mistakes in editing for this movie is in the final fight. Like this iconic shot that should be taught in every film school. I get what they were going for, like the wings of a parrot on the back of your hero, like she's soaring through adversity. One of the funny things is before this shot, we get to hear the Emperor's thoughts on Mulan's perseverance.
Rise up. Rise up like a phoenix.
We need this piece of dialogue in case people don't get the metaphor if they're dumb enough. I guess they did need the Emperor to say it's a phoenix, unless they would think it's Iago's wings.
I can't take it anymore!
Funny thing is, right, the phoenix is not what it means for the Western context than it is for the Chinese context. Feng Huang is not phoenix. It does not resurrect from fire, okay? I think he meant that they don't come back to life. So I can only imagine the Chinese audience watching this movie going,
Rise up like a phoenix.
What the fuck is happening? Let's get back to this majestic shot. Maybe, just maybe, take the scaffolding out of the shot. Just a suggestion. It's like a pimple on a hot chick. The pimple is distracting. And can we just appreciate the final fight scene? It's just amazing, right? You've already seen a preview earlier in this part of the video. But the kill shot. Oh! The kill shot. That's not the worst thing about this whole sequence. Oh no, no it's not. How did the king know about the Mulan kick? This is literally the first time they've ever met. How would he know that? Another thing I can't understand. What doesn't help Mulan 2020 is the actress portraying her. I don't think she acted well in this movie. I think her delivery is not helping the movie. Like this scene where she shouts a battle cry.
Left foot! Charge!
I really felt that. I really felt that it was bad. Or this scene, just before the battle, She has this speech about it's okay being afraid before fighting. That's natural. Then she makes a joke about killing this guy.
Except for you, Yao. I might take the opportunity to kill you myself.
I think what they were going for was that it was supposed to convey warmth, humor, a little bit of sarcasm, but the delivery just makes it sound like she wants to kill him. And it doesn't help that they're laughing. They're trying to laugh so the awkwardness can be dispersed or something, not that they found it funny. I think the worst offender of all of this is when she loses her father's sword.
I feel nothing.
Was she going for the stoic approach? Because I've seen stoics with more expression than her. This is her father's heirloom. I think it has been passed down from generations or something like that. And she doesn't even express anything. Not even a furrowed brow. But it's not like she's the only bad character here though. It's one thing for your villain to be funny, yet still have that evil edge to him.
It's gone.
It's quite another thing to make your villain look funny. I cannot take the main villain seriously.
We have purposely trained him wrong, as a joke.
Say what you will about Shan Yu, he was intimidating. I can't say the same thing about the new guy, Lawrence. And also the scene doesn't do him any favors because it reminds me of another Monty Python gag. I also thought that he was intimidating here, but then some guy on Twitter pointed out that it looks like he's taking a shit. So I can't really take him seriously after somebody said that. And how unrelentingly misogynistic he is. It's just hilarious. Like the scene where he admits this.
I serve you. I am the slave.
And you would do well to remember it.
Now kneel and suck my dick. They really wanted a sexist villain.
The attack has met fierce resistance.
From who?
A young woman from a small village.
A girl.
What the fuck? Yuck! When it's revealed that Mulan is actually the soldier that defeats the army of Shan Yu, you know what he says?
The soldier from the mountains.
He's actually neutral. He just recognizes that it's the person that defeats his army. He doesn't scoff at the idea of Mulan being a girl. The villain from the 1998 version of this movie is more progressive than the 2020 version. I don't know what's happening. It's like they really needed a sexist asshole to strengthen that sisterhood aspect, you know?
Take your place.
This story has a happy ending, guys. Not only was the global ticket sales abysmal, the Disney Plus numbers don't look good either. Like at the end of the day, they only made what, 60 to 90 million. At best, they made 133 million off this shitty movie. Chinese review site Douban even gave this a low score. This is like their IMDb. Most of China, I think it's safe to say, did not like this movie. And they're the audience that Disney panders to. I think that's funny. And it's not a terribly bad movie. It's entertainingly bad. I think Mulan is the comedy hit of 2020. So I think it's good to watch it. Just use my VPN service for that. That's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. And a huge shout out to my patrons. Robot I, Jan L. Doscusil, M. Marcelo Oliveria, Billy DeVoe, Logic, John Lemley, Registered Good Boy, Hjortor S. Hjortorson, Daniil Dmitriev, Chet McMasterson, and Tad586, as well as these other wonderful warriors. I really want to thank my patrons for being patient with me. I've been going through some rough times during this pandemic shit, and I've been really lapsed with the content creation. If you're still here watching, I really appreciate you taking the time off your day to just watch the video. I can only promise that I'll do better, guys. Really thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.